quickly, Lala. Yeah? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلوات الله والسلامه على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك يا رب الكريم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Radio folks, so Dr. Shazadian is not going to be happy if we go over the stated period because he wants a result like Yani we got. Yeah, he also wants to get off Yani to try and catch those special last 10-15 minutes. It's not about lightning strikes twice, it's whether my dua strikes twice. Okay, I made dua, it worked out well, we got home, sick ending, got there in time, unbelievable, shouting, running around, this, that, whatever, still holding my books in my hand, okay? The question is that what am I making a dua for tonight? You know what I'm saying? That's the question. That's the question. I read today, you're like not even football fans, so this is wasting on you anyway. Okay. What is important about the result today, Yallah, from a Manchester United point of view? Yeah. Okay, Liverpool go through extra fixtures. Go on. That will make them mess up the league, less chance of them winning. So it's good for them to go further. Yeah? Okay. Any other angles? They get knocked out. They cry all night. Dr. Shazad cries all night. And they completely capitulate the whole season. Mental breakdown. Fifth in the league. Fifth in the league. Yeah? Okay. Any other wajh? Any other angle? Where's the educated angle? No, that is important. The educated angle is that if Liverpool go through, they've always got they're good in cup competitions, they've always got a chance of winning it. If they win it, right, even if we come fourth, we don't go into Champions League. Masla. As long as we don't win the league. Are you kidding me? No. And then win nothing. Wait, let me just play that back in my head. Us five, and they don't win champions and don't win things. Yeah, okay. Although that's low behavior. And that's bestie that is. But okay, yeah, I agree with that. Chalo, alright. I do. That's the problem. That's the problem. That is the problem. I do support all English teams in the Champions League. So I am with Liverpool today. I do want them to win. I do want which could be an argument. The whole citizenship, yeah, you know, I mean, they speak a different language. Right, folks. So today is a big one because it's almost entirely. There's a fuzzy sound in the background, Allah. Maybe the microphone is not plugged in properly or something, or what? So, today's session is almost entirely based about the right hand, okay? Its location and its movement and its exact physical movements and nature and all the rest of it. We tried to fix the microphone. Let us know if it's better, okay? And so we're going to start with so in the text, in the Arabic, it's ثم يجلس مفترشا ويداه على فخذيه يقبض خنصر يده اليمنى وبنصرها ويحلق إبهامها مع الوسطى ويشير بسبابتها في تشهده. That is the text that we are covering. Lala, you made it worse, man. What's happened, Lala? One second, guys. Let's just sort this microphone out. I don't think it's here, is it, man? No, it can't be here. This is obviously plugged in properly. It's got to be over there somewhere. Come on, guys, quickly online, Yani, make your points, Yani, clear. Because we're moving on, then you just have to listen to fuzzy sound. like you're listening to this, you're watching football anyway, shut up. You know what I mean? Honestly, they give it like... Say Qassam. There you go. See that? It's 2-0 now. Ah. Who needs 2? Oh, it's... Oh, Bayern needs him. Squad. Yeah, bro. Liverpool got this, man. What's they have? Come on, what's happening? Online? Lala? What's it got to do? What's the scarf got to do with the volume? There's microphones would have been here. I'm not speaking from a scarf. Gus me, you know what? Make pure effort today. Oil the beard and all the rest of it. Cut my fingernails. The microphone out and we've put it back in again. Alright. So now we need to know whether it's working okay or not. Has this taken a knock? Did you pull this out? No, the microphone. The microphone was it in your boot? No, this blue. Is it kept here? It's kept in the bag. Chalo, I think early any dues around tonight then. I don't know what's happening. Are we having a lesson? Not having a lesson? What's going on? Still the same with interference. Okay. Alright, we can't do anything. Electric. If it's interference, what could it be? Okay, let's turn off the thingy. We've turned off the microphone. No, don't do that. I can't deal with that behavior. Right, what about now, folks? Okay, I've just turned off the other microphone. So they can't hear here, but you guys can hear at home. Quickly tell me, is it working, not working? Is the sound, is the interference there? Not. No sound, didn't get here as a story. Through here, yeah? Oh, camera, yeah, okay, yeah.
This mic is off.
Yeah, it's off, yeah, it's off.
Okay, that should be better now.
It's okay. What is? You've changed the microphone?
Change the microphone now, yeah.
And you've disconnected the other one, yeah?
No, the other one's still connected. Still. Something louder.
Wait, is the blue still connected? Disconnect the blue.
Disconnected, is it? Yeah, that's it.
Is the blue is disconnected?
Blue is disconnected.
And so it's now the other one.
Yeah,
The cam. So that other camera is now on, only. All right. So now this is now pointless, yeah? That's good. All right. Okay. On this one. Okay. All right, folks. So we're back on the sound, inshallah. So anyway, what did I get to? So I read the Arabic. All right. So let's read that again. ويداه على فخذيه يقبض خنصر يده اليمنى وبنصرها ويحلق إبهامها مع الوسطى ويشير بسبابتها في تشهده. He puts both hands upon his thighs, and the right hand he gathers up, clenches, clasps al-khinsar and binsar, the small finger and the little, whatever that finger's called, ring. Yeah, that one.
You want the text off?
No, it's all right. Ring finger, and he makes a circle from his thumb and his middle finger, and he points with his index finger in his tashahhud. All right, that's the actual text that we are covering today. So, quick reminder from last week. Where's the thingy? Where's the second thing? Yeah, someone's gonna sit here, and you're just gonna have to do the best, the whole lesson, bro. The whole lesson. So, what we're talking about now is to understand. Come around here. Stay here. So, when we're talking about the hands, all right, the hands in terms of on the thighs, then we said before that there are three positions. Yeah, the three positions are: number one is just literally on the middle of the thigh, okay, on the thigh like proper, and then number two is at the edge of the thigh, and the fingers are kind of overhanging on the knee, so at the edge. And then the third is this qalam, this holding, and that is where effectively half the hand is on the knee and half of it is actually clasping the actual knee itself. Yes, sorry, half is on the thigh and half is clasping itself. So 3 levels, 1, 2, and then 3. And that's the position of the left. All of these are acceptable. Our focus is on the right. The hand on the right always stays on top. It never will clasp, obviously. It will stay on the top. Whether you put it here or there, and obviously the focus is more towards the edge. Okay, it's an apparent action of the hand. And so that's the first time that's come up.
No, it's just for the people here.
Oh, do they need to see? Yeah, okay. Then,
Everyone here.
yeah. So this right hand here is going to be on the edge, right? And now we're talking about the positions of the right hand, right? And according to the text, it says يقبض خنصر يده اليمنى وبنصرها. That is the qabd. Yep, to grasp the 2 fingers. Yep, so you've grasped those. And then ويحلق إبهامه. Okay, that's the ibham. And the wusta مع الوسطى. يحلق. So he creates the circle. Yep. And ويشير بسبابتها. Okay, yeah. All right. And yeah, you can put it down now. That's fine, because I'm going to now just explain the text, and then we're going to come into the positions. So he's going to point with وَيُشِيرُ بِسَبَّابَتِهَا. The sababa. Did I tell you why we call it sababa? Did I mention that last week? Khinsar, binsar, wusta. No idea why the khinsar, binsar. Wusta because it's the middle. Ibham is whatever it is. And this is sababa because when you are cursing someone and fighting someone, you are... Put it back a bit, Lala. Okay, so this, when you point to someone, like, I'll give you this, that, whatever, you know what I mean? And so, you swear and you curse and you insult and abuse. And of course, that's called sab. All right, when you make sab of someone, that's what it means. So it's called the sababa because that's what it's always used to be. And actually, in every culture, when you point, it's very rude, right? People see it as very insulting and they say, don't you point at me. So it's the pointing finger, right? So that's why it's called the sababa. It's also known as the musabbaha as well, or the musabbiha, or the sabbaha as well, because it makes tasbih, right? The idea that you're going to make count with it and count on it and so on and so forth. But let's actually understand what we're talking about when it comes to the salah. When it comes to salah, there are a number of hadith that we need to get under the belt, first of all, to try to weigh up and then understand why is it that this has created such a huge divergent variety of actions and difference of opinion. All right? So we can start from the very beginning by saying that we have a hadith in Sahih Muslim, we have a hadith in Sahih Bukhari and in Muslim. The one which is agreed upon is that the Prophet ﷺ will point with the finger. And that's why all of the 4 schools of thought and every scholar at some point in whatever they do with their hand, they point with the finger. So let's have a quick summary of the madhahib. In the Hanafi school, right? In the Hanafi school, they will keep the hand straight and then they will at a point. So they recognize that this is the key player. And they recognize that there will not be such a case where there's no movement whatsoever. There's a movement. That movement might only be to lift the finger and raise it, but it's still a movement, isn't it? So what they've done is that they have combined, as you'll see, between all of the evidences, and they've said, yep, we were able to account for most of the hadith, and we were able to move it, and we had some kind of strategy behind our moving as well. And they move it when? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Now there's a discussion amongst scholars, yani at what point does it go up and down? From the forget about what you're told in the pack books and whatever. From the Hanafi school itself, from the fuqaha, the classical Hanafi fuqaha, and I mean the Hanafi school, I don't mean Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmatullah, I'm talking about the school, is actually only meant to go up at la ilaha. So it's not actually ashhadu, although we're brought up like that, aren't we? In fact, if I remember correctly, when I was young, we were told that you go ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah, right? So it comes up for the whole shahada of Allah, and then comes down for the Muhammad wa ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. That's what I was told. Anyone else told different? Same? Same? Salman, same? Darul Uloom? What was it told in Darul Uloom? What was it? What was only la, not ashhadu. Not ashhadu, yeah? Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, and la. Yeah, up. You put it down. Okay. So, but you agree that we were told, most of us, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. In actual fact, that's an inaccurate representation of what the actual position is, which is that it goes up at Allah ilaha, yani bear witness, yani so the lifting of the finger is to deny, not deny, to the opposite, negate, okay, and la ilaha, there is nothing, that's the whole point, okay, and then illallah is when it comes down. So in actual fact, in the Hanafi school, the lifting of the finger is to negate, and the lowering of the finger is to affirm. So illallah is when you put the finger actually down. So that's the way that they made their logic behind it, okay? And then there's no need for any movement afterwards. We'll come to the reason why they said that. That's the Hanafi school that you all know. In the Maliki school, they're very strong on the holding of the finger, and the creating of the circle, and then variations of that, okay, which I'm going to cover. But they will gather up the small two, they will make the circle with the middle, or they will keep it close to the middle, or they will make this in the middle, as you can see here, the thumb will go through. I'll go through all these positions, but they will keep the finger up from the beginning. Some of them within the madhab will differ. Some of them say you do move the finger. Some of them say you don't move the finger. That's in the school as well. And the Shafi'is and the Hanbalis are pretty much on the same page, except that according to some of the Shafi'is, the hand is flat and then it comes up at ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. This whole finger is part of the affirmation of the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a different way of looking at it from the Hanafi school. And then it remains up like that. They don't see any other reason then for it to move. The Hanbalis, then they differed amongst themselves. From Imam Ahmad himself, we have a riwayat which show that it moves, and then other riwayat that shows that it doesn't move. And we know that the movement itself is meant to be making dua. So they do have, as you see, this is pure Hanbali text, they are making the circle with the finger, and they are moving the finger up and down accordingly, or as narrated from Ahmad, no moving the finger as well, and the rest of the hand is clasped. So you've seen that's the variety there. Then there's another position which we see quite commonly, but is not known from the four schools. Not known. What's that? That's that. You've seen that, yeah? People doing this, and actually this as well, yeah? And the big thing here is the constant, constant action. That's the big thing, right? That is not, the difference to all of the previous schools is that they've all, if you've noticed, allowed for some kind of movement. But these scholars, more contemporary than classical, they're about it going from the beginning to the end, no evidence to stop it, it's got to be going all the way. So how is it that we have such a divergent basis of opinions? We have a number of hadith. So for example, in the hadith in Sahih Muslim, in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ ashara, bi-usbu'ihi, he pointed with his finger. Doesn't mention when, doesn't mention how, doesn't mention the nature of the rest of his fingers, doesn't mention any movement. All right, so we know that the index finger is a player. Then we have the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zubair radiallahu anhu, and he said that the Prophet ﷺ, he made ishara with his index finger and did not move it. okay, did not move it. Sahih Muslim, right? Then we have the other hadith, which is the big one going against this. That's the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr. We've been using this hadith so far actually in a few places in the last couple of weeks. The hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr says that the Prophet ﷺ places the left on his left, open, placed the right on the thing, and then clasped the fingers, and then made the circle, and moved the finger, and made dua with it. كَانَ يُحَرِّقُهَا وَيَدَعُ بِهِ. Okay? He made the taharruk, right? Or actually, don't follow me, but it just said he moved the finger and he made dua with it. So you have one hadith which clearly stating that he didn't, one hadith which is stating that he did. Now, if we look at these hadith, you know that obviously when it comes to fiqh, we use a number of tools and principles to come to a final conclusion. The first tool is to first of all make sure the evidence is okay. When you look at Muslim, you kind of step back and say game over, right? You say it's in Sahih Muslim. There's no way that a hadith which is narrated, I think by Imam Ahmed, yes, by Imam al-Nasa'i, by Imam Ahmed, by Imam Abu Dawood, and Shaykh al-Albani considered to be Sahih, okay? That's the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, which says that he did move it and made dua with it. Now the question is this hadith the same level of Sahih Muslim? Not at all. In fact, a number of scholars criticized the strength of the entire hadith. Alright, they said that they weren't happy with the entire hadith. Those people who were kind of, okay, well, it's not the most weak hadith in the world, but certainly the wording of that he used to move it is a new entry into the situation, because we have an asl, we have like a basis already, which is non-movement, right? Because of the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zubair. And the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zubair is establishing a kind of base status quo, because it's more authentic, because it's Sahih Muslim, that there's no movement. So therefore, by definition, the hadith which talks about movement must be shadh, must be odd. And odd, as we said, is a term, a legal term in hadith, which indicates that it goes against something which is more well known. Odd, shadh. And when something is odd, it is to be discounted then. So this is one of the things that we rely on, okay? When a hadith, from the obvious signs, when we look at the text and we look at the chain, it's looking good. But it's going against the opposite of a far more authentic hadith, then this is what's known as the ilal of hadith, the secret hidden faults of a hadith. And when you look into these secret hidden faults, you'll find that actually from the outside you can't see an obvious problem with narrators, but because it's going against something which is more authentic, then it must be weak. Then of course, now you might think that's the end of the story. However, if you want to really up the stakes, you had even some scholars that went back to the hadith in Sahih Muslim and said that the statement of Abdullah ibn Zubair that he did not move it, that ziyada is weak. Meaning that Imam Muslim made a mistake. Now that's a massive statement. Obviously people like us today make something like that, that's head chopped off time. But back in the day, Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned that. Ibn al-Qayyim's opinion was that the little increase of that he didn't move it, it itself was weak. I'm just introducing you to the breadth of scholarship that we have, and that they used to even have the guts to even go up against the rocks of hadith and sunnah. This argument was not made by many, and to be honest, it doesn't hold weight. Why? Because reconciliation is so easy. That's why. It's so possible to be able to use both. And it's possible to use a number of others as well. So we have a number of other hadith. So for example, we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, another hadith that is narrated. So for example, the hadith in Sahih Muslim of Abdullah bin Umar, وَعَقَدَ ثَلَاثٍ وَخَمْسِينَ وَأَشَارٍ يعني بِعُسْبُعِهِ الْيُمْنَى. يعني he made 53, and he pointed with his index finger. So we clearly have some kind of indicating, and we have a shape to the hand as well. We have the other hadith that the Prophet ﷺ looked at the finger and did not move his gaze from it until he finished. That is hadith sahih, narrated by Abdullah ibn Zubair. We have another hadith, for example, that mentions that the finger, that the movement of the finger is deadly. I'm just translating by meaning, is deadly to the shaitan. You might have heard that before. It causes a disaster. It's a madra'ah to the shaitan. It causes a real problem for the shaitan. The moving finger. This hadith, without no shadow of a doubt, is weak. And in fact, I go as far as it may be fabricated. And then we have another hadith, which Abdullah ibn Umar, he said that the finger is, the Prophet ﷺ said rather, the finger is harder upon the shaitan than al-hadid, than the steel. Okay, it's harder upon the shaitan than the hadid. You gather all these hadith together, and the scholars that I just mentioned, they're all still happy to hold their positions. Because actually all of these hadith which indicate what I've just said are all vague enough to be able to use like you want. So for example, the people who said that the finger is harder upon the shaitan than hadith, they said, well, it can't be a standing finger. It's got to be a finger that's got some action. And then there's that weak hadith, which, okay, we agree as well. Some of them will say, no, it's not weak. But that moving finger is saying that, that's the problem for the shaitan. Then you've got another hadith which says that the finger is a problem for the shaitan. So you put two and two together. You say it must be the moving finger. And even if you were to say, no, okay, I accept it. The hadith is weak. Let's get rid of it and just use this one. They'll say, yep, the moving finger itself is a problem for the shaitan. It's showing focus. It's showing that you're not going to allow yourself to be, to fall into kind of, lazy. It's something which is literally keeping you busy, right? The scholars that went against that, and of course that is the vast majority, okay, if not all, they were very harsh against this opinion. They said there is no evidence in saying that a single finger against the shaitan is harder than upon him than being whacked with iron or steel. That doesn't mean that he has to be moving. It means that it in its conceptual state is harder upon shaitan. And that makes actually far more sense. The finger, we know throughout the Sharia, throughout the Seerah, has been a finger which has indicated something good. So whether it's in the story of someone saying Ahad, 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 when they're being tortured to indicate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's tawheed, or whether it was the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What would he do? Anyone know the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his finger in the khutbah? When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to be on the minbar, when he was on the minbar, he used to make dua. And when he used to make dua in his khutbah, he would lift his finger and make dua with it. And the companions used to say that he used to make dua with his finger. So he would say, Allahumma inni, Allahumma inna na'udhu bik, and he wouldn't move it. But he's indicating that the finger makes dua. So you've seen already that it's a sign of tawheed, it's a sign of dua. So there you go. In the salah, we've got the finger there, and it's focused and it's strong. It's indicating something for tawheed against the shaitan. Of course, it's going to be a problem for him. It's the worst thing that he wants to see. Anything that reminds him of one is a disaster, because obviously he's going for the polytheistic approach. So it's quite clear. In fact, a very famous statement, Ibn al-Arabi, Qadi Abu Bakr Ibn al-Arabi, okay, well, this is not the other Ibn Arabi. Just so that you know, there are two famous Ibn Arabis. Yeah, there's Ibn Arabi. This was the big Sufi, the one who lost his mind, used to say all crazy stuff and fell into kufr and all the rest of it. That's, by the way, I know that you guys love your Urtuhul Baqwas, but that's the guy out of Urtuhul. Okay, that's the guy in that. All right, that's the one reason you had to boycott that Baqwas. Anyway, unpopular opinion hashtag. Yeah, the second Ibn al-Arabi is the Sultan al-Ulama, the king, Qadi Abu Bakr Ibn al-Arabi, the Maliki scholar, the faqih, was a great alim, and you only know the difference between the L. He's known as Ibn al-Arabi, and the other one is Ibn Arabi. It's a big difference, and it's an easy mistake to make. Ibn al-Arabi, he made a statement, and as I said, he's one of the leading fuqaha. He wrote, no, he didn't write that. No, he wrote, his specialty is in Maliki fiqh. Anyway, he said that I can't believe how some of the scholars slipped up on this issue. The idea that the moving finger is something which is intended by the hadith of the finger being harder upon the shaitan than steel. I quote, he goes, if you move one finger to shaitan, he'll move 10 against you. And he goes, if you move 10 fingers against shaitan, 100 will be coming straight back at you. And Muhammad Mukhtar al-Shanqiti, hafidhahullah ta'ala, he brings us back down to our senses and reminds us that the asl in the prayer is stillness. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, what's the status quo of the prayer? Uskuna fi salah. Have sakina fi salah. Salah is meant to be a very simple, non-moving, relaxed environment. Okay, it's meant to be in control. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. Right, and stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a state of qunut. And qunut means obedience, stillness, respect, calm, servitude. So the asl from the Quran and Sunnah is that the prayer itself is not one of action and movement. And we've covered that. You don't go around grabbing people and doing things or whatever. And even when you need to move, it's got to be minimal and you get it. There's no shouting out, there's no speaking aloud, there's no eating aloud, there's no movement, there's no walking. You get all the points that you understand. So therefore, this kind of action is going against that asl. And all this kind of movement and scratching and itching, it doesn't matter, but all this kind of behavior is unacceptable. And in actual fact, we have another hadith which is interesting. The Prophet ﷺ was walking past a person, and on his both thighs, he had his hands, and Uhud. I don't know the nature. The scholars aren't very clear the exact nature, but Uhud basically, he's basically trying to say wahid. Allah is ahad, Allah is wahid, alright? And he was indicating with both his fingers, both of his hands, both his fingers. And the Prophet ﷺ told him only the right finger. Like he walked past and he said to him, whether he's still in his prayer or not, whatever, but he kind of told him, stop the left hand and do it only on the right hand. That's an evidence, obviously, for keeping the hand flat and not doing anything. And it's evidence for the right finger. But it's also an evidence that it's not all action, whatever. It's a controlled kind of environment. You get what I'm trying to say? And then, like I said to you also last time, this act here is a mighty act. And if the Prophet ﷺ was doing this act and he prays in front of the people every single day, the people would have reported that he ﷺ would be moving his finger. And to that level. And if it was so carried on, the companions would have also done it, and the tabi'een would have noted it. And if the tabi'een had picked it up, then the atba' tabi'een would have picked it up as well as it was intended. So we can basically say that one thing that can be taken straight off the table is a concept that the fingers itself must be always move, or the finger itself must always be moving. So what about then the rest of the correct positions then? How can we accept? The Hanafi school have gone with their position. All right. The problem with the Hanafi position is that they then have to try and come up with a solution for the hadith of 53. 53. What does the hadith of 53 mean? I'm going to show you this now, okay? This is needs me to show my hands and so on and so forth. So, if you look at the hands themselves, the hand itself, the Arabs, all right, have when we went to China recently, right? So when we went to China, what we learned is that, when you're buying and selling, not even buying and selling actually, just amongst society, they don't often need to tell you numbers. So like when you go and you say, how much is this hijab in Saudi, they just put up their hands, don't they? They say 5 riyals. You know what I'm saying? They just put up their hand because it's 5. Everybody gets that. So the Chinese, they have all of the numbers 1 to 10 with their hands. They do this like that. Honestly, it's madness. I got it recorded, by the way. I recorded it. As the guy started, I said, stop. Let me just start. Start again, and I recorded it. Let me find that video and I'll play it next week. All right. So you do all this kind of stuff. By the way, not to 10 to 5. I think to 100.
But that's the same as the bookies with the tic-tac-toe, isn't it? They go to 150, 200.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, bro, to be honest, but But enlighten us though.
Well, in the previous life.
In the previous life.
I went on a corporate do.
On a corporate do as you do.
Yeah.
As you do. Yeah.
And this guy was giving it all that business, and I was like,
what's going on? So how many hands?
But they use their arms and hands and everything.
Everything.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, okay, there you go. So even in this country, we have that culture. And so the point is that there's a way of indicating numbers. And the reason I say that is because we have hadith. The hadith of 53 is very well established. The Prophet ﷺ said that he made, Abdullah bin Umar said that the Prophet ﷺ made 53. 53, when he described it, is this. This is 53. Okay. Now this is 53. Now it would have been like this here. So you need to bring this. All right. It would have been here like that. So that the two small fingers are curled up. The circle being made with the huh? Yeah, you're just in your own world, aren't you? You're watching the game too, Lala. Right, here we go. So these two fingers are clinched up. That is now the circle has been made, and we've got the finger up there. That is what he would have seen. And now you're trying to work out now where is the 53. Now, if you look at this, right, there are a number of there's differences amongst the scholars. Some of them said that it wasn't actually like that. It was this. It was this, and that is 53. All right. And by indicating that 53, what they're basically saying is that there's the 3, 1, 2, and 3, and that this action, when the thumb goes into the hand, this indicates 50. That's a 50. Yeah. So like this, yani this kind of movement into here, and maybe they're referring to this. Maybe they're referring to that as a circle, as a 50. I don't know. Is it the fact that it's in there? Is it in there or not? There's another narration from the Tabi'een which says 51. 51 is going to be then indicated either by the same way. So, yani you got one finger there, that's the 1, and then you've got that indicating the 5, or the fact that as a sign is indicating 50, sorry. So that could be the next option, right? And then you've got the idea that, and then back to 53. Where would 53 come from? According to some, and this is certainly my position and the position of my own Arabic teachers and those that are with the culture, and it is very important. Anyone know? Actually, you will know because you've done it in close. 5 and 3. Right? There's the 5. Right? So the question is, where's the 3?
It's the 3 fingers.
These 3 here? Okay. Majority didn't say that. Huh?
This, there.
Lala basically said that basically this is the 3, 1, 3. Because yani, obviously Abdullah ibn Umar yani, looked at English yani, and said, yeah. Oh, you mean 1, 2, and 3? You Lala. Anyone else? Thumbs pointing at a third finger, maybe. In actual fact, the 5, the 3 is there. All right. Because Lala here, the guy's a disaster. This guy here. I want it from here. You pack. Give it to me. Is there? There is the 3. There is the 3. Look, 1 second. Yeah, hold the phone. Just hold it there. No, I need it from here, like that. My goodness, this is a disaster. Yeah. There's the 3. So where is it? Can you see it now? No. Oh. Huh? No. No. How is the Arabic? How is the Arabic 3 written? Yeah, go on, Isa. Draw the 3. Starting with my index finger. Starting with my index finger from the top of my index finger. Yeah. Right. Hold this phone right here. A 3, okay, would be written. Where are you going? You pack right. Just steady. Well, a 3 would be like this. 1, 2, 3. Do you understand? 1, 2, 3. You agree or not? That would be 3. Yeah. You know, if it's you know what I mean. Yeah. So like this, it's not there, by the way. If it's not there, I'm just saying that a printed 3, an Arabic printed, yani 3 would be this shape. But that's not that, is it? That's only got 2 stalks. Yeah? one second. But this is how the 3 is written. Persian numbers, the Arabic numeral system was there at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. They knew how to write numbers.
No, they never seen it in Arabic. The Persians had it, and then the Arabs adopted it. I think later. I've never seen an old manuscript from that first.
That has numbers.
Never. They always just wrote them out or used al-abjad.
Al-abjad al-hawaz yani is not the only thing which is used for numbers. There's no doubt later, but in al-asl, they knew what a 5 was. Huh? They knew what a. You're right. Yeah, correct. They had the symbol. They had the simple system. Correct.
The symbols were Persian. I've never seen any evidence in the Arabs use this at that time. Ever. And if this is what they're teaching now, then there must be some evidence I'm not aware of.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to. You know what? There's no doubt that this is one of the main opinions of how 53 was seen. The deeper question that you ask is that exactly what was the physical numerical system that they could see at the time of the Prophet ﷺ? We need to look at that. We need to look at that. No, because you
like the full explanation.
So
it doesn't sound like it has any kind of.
So here you go. So if the middle finger is touching this, if the middle finger is touching the thumb, then it's not now gone to the asl here. It's not creating that, as you said, the sign of 50.
Well,
Yep.
no, I'm saying they have no symbol for 5, 4, 3, and
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that according to your opinion, it's got to be an indication for numbers. Yeah. And so that would require this to be flat in the actual.
This you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know this.
And this, what you're saying, is one of the reasons why there's so much discussion. As I said to you now, or I don't know if I got to yet, the Tabi'een said 51. And how did they make 51? They said that 51 is all 3 fingers down, and this thumb is only going to the middle finger here, and this is meant to be the 5, and this is meant to be the 1. And I don't think that makes sense because you can't see any kind of circle of 5 there. So I think that this is what they mean by 51. You know, like where the 5 is, where the finger going underneath is indicating the 5 or the 50, and then the finger there is indicating the 1. As for the scholars that explained 53, then they said 5 and 3. Back in that day, they said that the idea of it being printed in this kind of, very perfect way, that wasn't the case. Anyone who knows that classically, because I have seen on early manuscripts numbers, you will never ever see. Oh no, I'm talking. No, first century we have hardly anything anyway. Yeah, but first century we have hardly anything anyway. But I mean like 150, 170 Hijri, that kind of time. Yeah, numbers. If you look at the numbers there, you will not see the kind of, printed numbers like we see, a 4 like that or a 3 like that. It's all very, very loose. You know what I'm saying? Just like the rest of the Arabic writing, which is so...
Opinion from the 2nd century.
This is an opinion. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's not an opinion. It's an interpretation of what they're trying to describe, the number that is focused on. Because 50, if I said to you 53, they made 53 with their hand and left it as it was, you'd have a field day of a million different opinions. But when I say to you that he curled up the 2 and he made a hole with a circle with his middle and his thumb, pointed with his index finger, then you've only got limited options now to make 53 out of this position. And this was one of the explanations. That's the point. All right? So, that's 53. Regardless, this position of the finger, right, being in this manner here, all right, I just want you to understand that it's being curled up. It's, again, not clear. Is this enough of a curl? These 2 fingers just being there? Or do we need it to be very, very close? Do we need to have this? This has been narrated. Nail to nail. So nail to nail has been narrated. Is the finger very, very straight? Sheikh Muhammad Mukhtar al-Shanqiti says that when you look at the narrations, it seems like the finger is down towards the ground. It's in a state of submission. It's not up like that. So that's another point as well. Also, is there a position of the thumb? Yes. the thumb doesn't always have to be. There are narrations which indicate not just at the front there, but actually there as well. So the circle which is being made is that circle, not necessarily the perfect circle. So it's a circle which is being made with the middle of the finger itself. We also, as I said, we have this position as well, where the finger, where the thumb goes through the middle of the fingers, and then the finger itself indicates. We have the flat position, as we said before. So it's flat, and then it gets lifted up at the point of the shahada. And then you've got also the position where it is, we have the hadith which indicates that the fingers are curled up. So we'll curl the fingers up, lift up the shahada, and then we'll put it back down again, but we'll keep the fingers held. That's the classic Deobandi opinion that you will see. And in the modern Hanafi day school, once you say Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, the finger goes down and the hands remain clasped, and some then make the hands go flat again. So you have all of these varieties and options with respect to the actual finger and the hand. And my point is that nearly every single one of them has some kind of basis. What do the Hanbalis really go strong on? What does Shaykh Uthaymeen want to say? He wants to basically say that the asl, you can take that back now, right? That the asl is that the finger is straight, but there's no doubt that he used to move it. And if he needs to move it, we need to work out what is he moving it at, and what is the basic and what is the basis and the system. And it's either in dhikr, every time there is dhikr, or it's either and every time there is dua. If it's dhikr, then the Hanafi position makes a lot of sense. Then La ilaha illallah. That's the kind of idea there. It's a dhikr that we recognize. There's hardly any other proper kind of old school dhikr, and so they say there's only one movement, and the Hanafi school have got that on lockdown as well. If we say that no, it's every single part of dua, then your finger will be like this. Then it would be Allah, or it would be down in a kind of like a lowered position. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad. Yeah, that's how it would be. Or every time that you mention, as Shaykh Uthaymeen gives an example, he says that it will be whenever you say the lafz al-jalala, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, if you do that, then you'll come up with, how did he, so for example, he says, if you're making, for example, actually he covers all of this. He goes that if you're doing Assalamu alayna wa ala ibad, Assalamu alayna is a dua. Okay? Alright? Assalamu alayna is a dua. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. That's a dua. Oh Allah, send salam upon. That's a dua. Oh Allah. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay? You like this? Or wassalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. That's another dua. Okay, ashhadu would not be a dua, ironically, so they would not move it at that point. Then it's Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, then Allahumma barik ala Muhammad, then Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min fitnati al-qabr, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab al-jahannam, and then you would keep moving the finger. So the idea is that, and this was popularized by Ibn al-Qayyim, by Ibn Rajab, by the mid kind of century, kind of the mid-time, the mid-term Hanbali scholars, that the finger is used to make dua. So the ones who are making dua, they're saying that there's no evidence that is linked to some kind of dhikr or whatever. The asl behind it is the hadith. The hadith says that it moves. And there, by definition, they're saying that movement can't be just a simple point. There's got to be some kind of movement. And as I said, they get that help from that other hadith that the moving finger is a problem against shaitan, and they kind of develop that narrative around it.
When it says moves, is it implying constant movement?
It doesn't. None of the hadith is kana yuharrikuha. The sababa. That he used to move it. Alright? So what you basically, I can conclude and say, is that you've got a hadith which indicate that it doesn't move, that indicate that it does move, that indicate that it is still, and indicate that it only moves at certain times. Some of these hadiths are without doubt not to be criticized. Some of them have some kind of weakness. They're not all the most authentic by any means of the imagination. Another thing that we need to cover is also the position of the hand. So for example, we've said that is that's certainly the position in the text, and as you're going to see, this is going to be the class position. All right, the class position is going to be this classic 53, or the making of the circle with the finger the middle finger and the thumb, and to use the index finger to point and to curl up the other two. But should it be flat, or does it get turned? In the Maliki school, the hand goes like this, flat. All right? And there's difference in the Maliki school as well. And the reason for this turn is because of some riwayat in the school and from the tabi'een, which indicate that the side of the index finger is in line with the side of the nose. All right? And so meaning that the hand is not straight. But actually that's not, as the majority of scholars said, that's not what's been intended. That's not intended by the nose that is in line with that. There's no problem in it being in this line as well. This would require some extra evidence. They also said the 53, how did the Ibn Umar see 53 unless it was clearly on display? So there's some circumstantial evidence, but it doesn't not strong enough to overturn. In conclusion, what I want to say is that I believe that the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in this is flexible. I think that there is a permissibility to be able to be flexible with the exact nature of how you hold your fingers. But there's no doubt that in principle the hand is curled up. In principle. So whether the hand is curled up in a very tight way, okay? In a very, you can see this, yeah? In a very, very tight way where it's a closed fist, or very open, but from your terms, it's still curled. Whether it's curled there or curled there. Okay, but the indicating of the focus on the middle finger, the thumb, and the index finger indicates that they've got to be main players in this game, and that would therefore indicate that a more open kind of approach and a more this kind of touching of these two and creating some kind of gap and having the finger at least raised, I think is the asl, and this constant movement is not. And even though I don't believe that there should be any movement, and that is my personal position, I believe that the Hanbali official position, which is that it only moves when you are feeling it, when you're making a dua, some kind of indication, I think is quite fine. I think that, in my opinion, even when you put your hand flat and then you say, At-tahiyatu lillahi wa salawatu, I think even that was enough of a movement. Just like I consider the Hanafi schools, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna, even that for me qualifies as a movement. But if you want to go further and say, right, no, movement is going to need, and I'll tell you something, even if you follow the opinion that your finger doesn't move, when you're praying, you will see a natural little movement. You will see your finger go up and down. I think that's quite possible. I think it might, and when you're saying something, your mind is, a'buduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. There's a feeling there actually. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. It's like I'm indicating, I'm making dua like the Prophet ﷺ would make in his khutbah. So I'm comfortable with that. The class position is what it says here. That the hand is curled up, the circle is made with the middle finger and the thumb. This finger points. It doesn't point like that. It's not something very prominent, because that would have also been seen and been reported. It's not there. As Sheikh Muhammad Mukhtar Shanqiti says, it's a kind of like a pointing one, gently kind of coming down. So this is acceptable. This is acceptable. All right, that's the class position. And if you want to move it, then we're good with that. No, and straight. This doesn't really have the evidence to support it. All right, yeah.
Is it in that position right from the start?
And the discussion of whether it starts like that or whether it from the beginning is one that can be interpreted both ways. The problem with not starting it at the beginning is that you make it more difficult for yourself. Because wherever you're going to start, now you need a direct evidence. Why did you start there? That's the problem with the Hanafi opinion and the Shafi'i position. Because the Shafi'is are going to lift it up at the Shahada. We'll say, what's your evidence? They'll say, well, because, and it's like circumstantial. And the Hanafis the same. They're not going to say that this was the Sunnah. They'll say, well, what about that hadith? When he was going, he was saying, Ahad or Ahid, or I am making Tawheed, and the only part of the Tawheed in the entire tashahhud is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So it's not a bad circumstantial evidence, but then to indicate that it only goes up at that time is not proven. That indicates just movement. So in actual fact, it makes sense that the asl of the finger is that it is up. And if you go back and remember what we said about sitting between the two sajdas, That's why those lot said that it should go up as well, because the asl when you're sitting down, whenever, is that the finger is raised. Okay? We said that no, because the hadith make it clear that there is a flat hand, but in the tashahhud we have all of these hadiths which are talking about the finger moving and so on and so forth. So in conclusion, the class position is that from the very beginning, once you start at tahiyyat, once you sit down and you start, you lift your finger and you hold your finger, not in a very dominant way, but in a normal way, with your hand curled up, with your middle finger and your thumb in some kind of connection. And you, most important, where there's no discussion, is that you look at your finger and you must focus on the finger. Your nadar does not go away from the finger. This is a mistake, of course, that so many people make, that they look at the point of sajda. They're always looking at the point of sajda. As we said before, the looks are 3 in the prayer. In the prayer, there are 3 looks. The vast majority of the prayer, and that's at the point of sajda. Okay, so when you're praying, standing, when you're in sajda, when you're in normal kind of position, that's going to be the majority of the time in the prayer, it's at your sajda. When you're in your ruku', straight down. People make the mistake of looking at their feet. You're not meant to be looking at your feet, you're meant to look straight down. You don't look at the sajda, your eyes go like that, it affects the position of the back. You don't look at your feet, it affects the position of the back. You just look straight down, and that is leading to a straight back. And the third looking in the prayer is when you're in your tashahhud. In your tashahhud, it's always looking at your finger. It gives you focus, and it's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The hadith is very clear. The hadith is narrated by Imam Ahmad, by Imam Abu Dawood, and it is sahih. Abdullah ibn Zubair said that he would look at his finger and he did not take his sight off it. Alright folks, so that having been said, let's now just quickly close up then what Shaykh Uthaymeen says about this. Well, I mean, pretty much to be honest, he kept it very, very light. Alright, he also just accepts it. He goes, there are hadith which have indicated, which are established in the there are hadith which are correct that say no movement, and correct that say you must move. And for me to combine between them is very easy. What is being denied completely is a continuous movement, and what is being affirmed is the movement of dua. So he's just basically taken that easy way out, and that's what effectively the Hanbali schools did. Okay, and the left hand is then kept open, and nothing happens. And then he says, At-tahiyatu lillah. At-tahiyatu lillah. What's the time saying? Do we get into that now?
2 minutes.
What do you mean? Is this like the new 1 hour is like a really strict kind of thing?
Correct.
People are going to be having heart attacks, bro.
I've had so many complaints about this. You're going over 1 hour.
Over 1 hour. Can I just say,
Ahsan, 1 hour on the dot, that's it.
our lesson was never ever meant to be 1 hour.
It was always
Zafar,
1 hour. 1 hour?
50 minutes, right?
how long was our lesson in the beginning?
6 hours.
Look at this one. Bro, don't say 1 hour, because I would love it to be 1 hour. I will be out of here like a shot. Are we want to make this an hour, folks?
50 minutes.
Only like in deep summer where it's like midnight. Otherwise, it's early.
Early, yeah. Night is young, it's only Liverpool. Right, let's answer some questions. Let's see what's going on. Look at that. Harisiani, look at that. Qassam, Fatana, Ajwa Mosque. Listen, I did some introduction. It's not even existent, to be honest. No. All right. Okay, let's come down and let's get some. Anyway, we'll come to that. Yeah, not that far. Yeah, no, come. Don't need to hear all that. Yani miserable, yani bakwas again. Right. Come on, Lala. Right. You mentioned the hadith. This is important. I saw this and I wanted to mention this to Sumaira immediately. She's asked a good question, but I did make it clear. I said that the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim only mentions the pointing finger. Do you understand? That is hadith untouchable. Both versions of that. In Bukhari and in Muslim. Untouchable. I said the second hadith, which is Abdullah ibn Zubair riwayah, which is the one that talks about, and he did not move it. I said that's the one that some of the scholars said that this, and they didn't say the hadith is because they can't, because Muslim doesn't make mistakes like that. But they said that this ziyada is from the companion himself. This was his perception. It is his little mistake. It is ziyada da'ifa, yani. And that's what Ibn Qayyim's opinion. And it was rejected by, as I said, to be honest, Ibn Qayyim has no evidence for that position. Right? So it's only in that separate, different hadith that he's pointing that. Chinese finger numbers, blah, blah, blah. blah, blah, blah. Arabic shorthand, knuckle to thumb, blah, blah, blah. Okay, online giving it their behavior. And then. Don't we need to point the finger towards the Kaaba? This is also good. All right? That's one of the reasons, by the way, that the Hanafis said that the finger should be flat. Because they said that the asl of the fingers is they should be pointing towards Kaaba. The response is that that's the asl until we have an evidence to indicate not. And so it's not a problem. So the finger is, of course, it's not meant to be going in the other direction. It's obviously straight. You're not going to go like that or like that. You are going to keep it straight. Okay? Your finger doesn't move naturally, it stays still. No, I mean when I say naturally, I don't mean that your fingers, unless you obviously get Parkinson's, when a'udhu billah, wa nas'al al-afiyah.
Most people's finger will be moving slightly.
If
you're trying to keep it still there, nobody's completely still.
Unless you're like a surgeon, unless you're Dr. Saab, yeah. Because as we said, unless you're a surgeon and your job depends upon it, or I can tell you he's not very good at it, by the way. Once he gets in the mouth, his hands all over the place then. Or is it just my mouth?
There's so much to do.
So, oh. Yes, bro. Yes, bro. You're going to get the lemons today, bro. You get a lemon for your orange and lemon slices. Little one came in with it, yeah.
The only thing I need.
The only thing you need, Diet Coke and ice. So, no, Mesa, we're not talking about although I actually believe what Usman said, that most people, normal people who don't train their fingers to be still, their fingers do move. But that's not the movement that people see. That's not a movement that people see. The only way that you're seeing that movement is if you are super close. All right? So I think the movement that I'm talking about, the natural movement, is the one when people making dua, they do indicate something. Like when people are in salah and they're moving up and down, and body movement does kind of move towards things that we say and do. All right? Okay. Switching between sajda, hands are both flat. Yes, Aisha, that's correct. In terms of movement of the index finger, why is the movement up and down so full? Yes, I never said this, big, massive kind of, behavior. Yeah, with that, Yani, thank you very much for that. I'm not saying it's massive up and down. I'm just talking indicating, right? That's correct. It doesn't need to be massive, okay? In terms of, there's a question underneath. All right, is it all done now, yeah? Yeah. Huh? Go on. Yeah. Astaghfirullah. What are you hating, man? What are you hating for? Why are you hating for? They got bored, Lala, man. Is zakat calculated by number of units? Faraji is taking liberties now, okay? For a business, is zakat calculated by number of units in stock multiplied by selling price? Yes, it's basically all of your stock at the price that you know that you're going to get for it. It's not the wholesale price. It is the retail price that you know that's what you're going to get for it. And you make an assessment of all of the amount of stock, just like you do in an audit. When you do an audit, you do a valuation of the stock. Now, in an audit, it's wholesale price, isn't it? Yeah? Stock take. Yeah, stock take. It's a wholesale price. But in zakat, it's what you're going to get for it. Now, my fatwa in this is that if you know that you've got stock that's not going to sell, then you are able to use wholesale prices because you know that you're not going to get rid of it in the year. I think there's some space for that. Okay, that's my opinion on that.
Can I just say, next week, 8:15 Isha, 8:35 online.
Okay, that's a time change, and expect that to keep on changing. Okay, so next week, the lesson, the next 2 weeks, we should be holding an online at 8:35. Okay, so 15 minutes onwards. All right, and then you've got the hour change coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So next lessons, Isha here locally is 8:15, and online 8:35. Is it sinful for a male not to pray salah in jama'ah, whether that's in the masjid or elsewhere? Is there an opinion that says this, as I heard it in a talk? Yes, that is an opinion, but it's not the position of the majority. It's not obligatory to pray in jama'ah. It's a sunnah of mu'akkad. And finally, Lutz with what are the various Islamic honorifics and expressions of dua that we can bestow upon the Prophet? That's coming next week, inshallah. Okay? Is the finger position and movement also an area where we have to stick to one opinion? Is it possible the Prophet ﷺ did all those mentioned and different companions saw different things? I'll end with this question because it's a good and important one. No, there is not this variety. You shouldn't go in and say that the sunnah is to leave your hand flat and do it like this today and then do it like that. No, I believe that it's a variety, the variance is within a particular area. So I believe that the variance is in how much you curl your finger and exactly how much you are using the middle finger in terms of closeness, and the nature of the actual finger, how much it moves and doesn't move. That's where the variance is. I don't believe that it's right that you should be saying, right, it's so flexible, all is authentic. No, that's not the case. We do not believe that this is an established position. We believe that that's an acceptable opinion derived from the evidences, but that they actually point to something more specific, which is the gathering of the fingers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend is fitna. We have lots of this behavior, so share it out. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wait there. We have, that's not now, it's ages away. Oh, the class. Listen, folks, okay, everybody, online or on site. Next weekend, March 22nd, 23rd, 24th, I'm teaching here at Salford University, fitna, important class, especially before Ramadan. Okay, so it looks like it's going to sell out, so you need to be quick on that, folks, all right? That's one. The weekend after, Sheikh Walid Basuni coming from the States to teach torchbearers in Birmingham, Qabilat Fawz. That's the weekend after, okay? And there's also a special thing going on there because it's the 10-year anniversary. And I will also be there on the Sunday, okay? I will be there on the Sunday, the March the 31st. That works out, okay? No, it's not fiqh du'a, it's torchbearers. It's torchbearers. It's not fiqh du'a. It's a seerah of some of the a'lam, the key figures of Islamic history. And then on Monday night, Chidu Masjid is putting on a special with Sheikh Walid here after Isha. No. Between Maghrib and Isha, because Maghrib will be the new Isha. No, it'll be the new Isha. It will be like 7:35, 40. You get what I'm saying? So it'll be like coming for Isha. So on Monday night, on the Monday night, the 1st of April, and this ain't no fools, okay? Maghrib, you come for Maghrib, and then between Maghrib and Isha, he's going to give a special lesson, and then we pray Isha, we close, and we go home, and then on Wednesday we'll do pretty much the same, but we'll tell you about that. That's going to be OP. All right, folks? جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت واستغفرك اللهم وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.